the
Okay.
first version of the thing that
Yeah, look, I always take that as a bad sign. If ever someone doesn't want to show whatever state they're on at this point in time, that's a really bad sign. Like things have gone astray.
yeah, fair enough.
Right? Would you agree with that?
It's a heuristic. Yeah.
No, it's never ever been wrong. Right. What are the external entities? So we have deploy. We have the JSR package registry.
Mhm.
We have, what do we have? The gateway corporation.
So this is just a bucket of anyone that's not us.
What are the external entities that we are positioned against? What do we need to orient our context?
Okay, so what are the dependencies? Who do we depend on, or what were we requiring? So if we had the gateway corporation, inside the gateway corporation, that's going to hold the contracts.
Yep.
It's going to host the billing.
I think the we'll call that is artifact external.
I would think it was. I'd count that as internal.
No, that's what's changed, right? Like that's what's different. That's probably the
um,
key thing to focus on there.
but by external, I'm thinking that we have no control over it, really. Um,
Well, we the fact that we control multiple entities is irrelevant to the diagram. The diagram is about each entity's perspective, right? The fact that we are fingers in all the pies
mhm.
doesn't change the dependencies of the system because we want to deploy funding against different components. We don't really want to. We want them as separate entities because, like the Gateway Corporation is a risk-bearing entity. Like it takes on liability. We don't want that to take down the hosting service because that's a separate entity,
Yes,
right?
true.
Like the Gateway Corporation is quite dirty because it has to deal with poorly specified requirements, delivery of contractual obligations.
And there's
You know,
also a chunk of work, legal work in order to actually make that.
yeah, and it's like regional as well. It's got different responsibilities depending on the region that it's operating in. It's only going to operate in the UK to start with, so you know.
Yeah, yeah. So if artifact is well, basically everything's going to be. Why? Well, what would be an internal entity then?
Well, that's what we got to figure out, right?
So I guess the Dreamcatcher NAP is internal.
Is it? Is it?
It's either internal or external. If it's external,
I would say that you're right. It's internal. I would say that the Stux nap is in there as well.
yep, yep. Um, where does the NAP library live?
Is this the registry?
Um, yes, it's hosted on JSR.
Well, yes and no. Um, that's just this registry needs to consume these registries,
Right.
and so
Yeah.
you could also add to that. And I'm only putting this in there to signal diversity. Is this registry?
Yep. Yep.
Um, So this is like it's important to map these external entities because up until 2 weeks ago we had no dependency on these guys, right? Like we did not give two flying
Yeah,
hoots what they did, and now suddenly they're critical. um,
yeah, yeah.
and so that's always an
With
awkward change.
well, it's rather than external entities because that feels a bit fuzzy. It's dependencies maybe is a better thing. We depend on
That's what you.
json.
That's what the external entities are. That's what the context diagram shows.
Right, but
It's
the
it.
by dependencies that implies that. Oh shit! There's another text. Hold on a second. I better check this. A second. I'm gonna be so grumpy, Stuart.
As opposed to. Sorry, my bad. Not the time for. Not the time.
I can't say it. All right, okay. Fine. Sorry, what were you about to say? Just say it. Anyway.
Nothing at all. I didn't
I'm
say it.
curious.
No,
Yes.
no.
Orientate ourselves. I've got about 15 minutes before I need to go.
Okay, no worries. That's probably all we need. It did a couple other things that we listed out last night.
Yeah, and then there's the dynamic testing and the excuse me, incoming call.
Okay.
6. Court. Yeah. Right, where were we? Yeah, this is why I think artifact. If these are dependencies, things that we depend on and we don't have any control over, but you can
No,
see.
it's not. It's not just that. It's just things that we have a relationship with externally. Whether we control them or not is just whether it's a double-headed arrow or not. That's all.
Okay. All right. Artifacts, it still seems in the grey area on that one.
I think that it should be treated the same as an independent builder of an app. that's running on our platform. You know, like it needs to not be owned by the platform. Like that's a purposeful distinction, I think.
So in terms of the Dreamcatcher, yeah, okay. Um, then there's one of the things I was quite obvious when I was going through our old notes.
Yeah.
We're over indexing on Dreamcatcher because
Yeah, it became like everything. But
yeah,
we could rename that, but it's really about what does the functionality do. And so I think what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to rebrand our core name there by defining it as this registry plus services because
um, yeah. So there's the let's just call it the platform for now. Um, and inside of that platform, we are running the Dreamcatcher NAP. Uh, the Stux NAP, although it's a NAP, is part of the platform.
is it? Yes, it is. Yep.
Uh, as is the registry. We could argue that the dynamic help is also the platform. I think the test NAP is
Discovery. How about that?
discovery of NAPs and capabilities. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where does tests and help go?
It's a evals
Sorry, evals.
framework.
Yeah.
Evals um, tooling and execution.
Yeah.
Because the difference between it being a pure registry and not is that it can host as well as provide. So it can give you packages, but it can also run them for you. And what I'm really trying to distinguish is that I want these functions, like the anything that says execution, ought to be an interface so that you can have execution suppliers, right? Like I want that to be switchable. It's not.
Well,
We're not
sure. Well,
trying to bundle it.
yeah, that actually suppliers. The obvious one would be OpenAI.
No, that's an API supplier, which is different again, right?
Oh, I see. You're talking about the execution environment. So,
Yeah, so like the platform
like
offers you
like
the
GitHub.
ability to execute, right?
Yeah,
Well, on GitHub you get GitHub Actions, but you can't. You can actually supply your own GitHub runners, but they're not that easy to switch in and out. Whereas
yeah.
here we'd be saying that obviously we will have a hosting service, but the point of making the whole thing portable is that we are just one option,
Yeah.
and you should be able to run the whole platform on your own on-premise equipment with no loss of fidelity.
Yes. Um,
But is it
okay.
is it helping with the clarity between the difference between what you were doing and what we're doing here?
Well, there's some quite close correlations because
Right.
inside the buckets, what we got with externals there, I put inside of well,
Yeah,
split
you'd
that.
made that internal, right?
No.
No.
There's I call those. So there's the hosting platforms. I call it the environment. So security and permissions, Deno, add in any platforms that you want in there.
Mm.
Um, so that was external to that, but required.
Right.
Um,
I think the difference, probably the confounding thing here, is that I am trying to stuff two things together. Because there's the the open thing is this is the open. That's the what's the word for it? That's the gap in the ecosystem there,
mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to stuff the Dreamcatcher process into that, but it's not actually. That's an artificial bond,
Mm.
right? And
Yeah,
that's the
because
thing. That's the thing
you
that I'm
could
sort
write
of.
anything on that. Yeah.
Well, you could run this. The corporate structure you could use to fill that gap in the market is varying, right? Like you could do anything from like pure cryptocurrency all the way through to public company. Pick anything in between,
Yeah.
right? And that's the issue that I have is that that position is open and it can be filled by. There are many suitable ways to fill that. I'm trying to create an artificial relationship between these two pieces because if
Yes.
we don't
Yeah.
attach those two things together, then we can't launch this thing. We can't launch this thing unless it's attached to something. Like you could, but it'd probably die because it'd be like a
Yeah. Yeah. But just out there.
yeah,
So that's quite useful. In turn to the JSON function platform.
yeah. That's really what I'm trying to get at. And then the other sort of interface that I'm trying to describe is that we use a lot of things internally, but they really should be a marketplace or they should be switchable, pluggable. Like this
Yeah.
is just
So
us making a hosting service, but it's currently deeply bound into the
maybe
system.
suggest. Um, so if we concentrate on the JSON environment,
Yeah,
now the API gateway gains us everything AIE or basically anything.
yep,
But there, if we were to chunk up, down deploy is just a runtime environment.
right,
JSR is the package registry,
right,
as is npm. So
right.
we could actually squish those two together. Those are two examples that actually are required is inside the JSON function platform. Just as the API gateway is required, it needs something to run on. It needs a registry. It needs some kind of storage. Um, and
Yeah, because this does not in any way have to be a blockchain. Like you could fill that with non-blockchain software
right,
pretty easily, right?
right,
And you'd probably still suck some users in,
yeah.
right? And you'd
So
be like, give us your data, and they're like, oh, we want it back, and you're like, here's your database dump,
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, you could just do it as a
right? But to make it
yeah,
portable, is a choice of ours. Like we don't have to make it portable, but I want it portable.
yeah. So it's the stuff that's uh, the grouped together things that are absolutely necessary for the JSON function platform to function
Mm-hmm.
um, would also include some kind of runtime environment. We've chosen Deno. Um, some form of well, you got an app registry there already.
I think these are actually standards, right? Like that's an execution environment standard because the function platform is just simply it's
Well,
a
yeah, you
you
could
know
state it, and someone else could build it if we stated it clearly
yeah,
enough. We
like
could
you
state,
you can you can fulfill the dependencies of the function of the JSON function platform. You can fulfill those dependencies at runtime
mm,
using a variety of different things, so long as they meet the right interface.
mm-hmm. just heads up, I've got 5 minutes left.
Yeah, no worries.
So in the external entities, is there? So once the JSON platform is there, then we build the Stux loop, Dreamcatcher, the test runner.
You mean the
discovery,
eval runner?
the eval runner, yeah, because someone else could run a different type of test. Maybe it just says it passes every test. As a simple eval runner, you still need an
Right.
eval runner.
So the NAP format includes it includes the eval format.
Yeah. So what we're saying is you have to have a test runner, but we're not saying which test runner. But we've got you a test eval runner.
Well, the way I'd been defining it so far is that the test runner is selected as a NAP, so you can choose the one that we made, or you can make your own one, or whatever other one gains popularity. It's the thing that needs to be standard is the fact that you expose it from your package, so that the platform knows how to process that, and it's like, here's how I'm going to run these evals.
Right. So if it was just a straight definition of a platform, which any component could be swapped in and out, then
Yeah.
we would get a list of internal to the platform is our starter for 10 in order to get it to do something useful, which would include an eval runner.
No, but the eval runner is gonna be all that needs is the execution environment. This should be a tool that is pluggable, and it doesn't really matter. Like if you supply an execution environment to the function platform, then you can run evals and you can run naps.
Yep.
And you can run discovery, and you can run the API gateway. All that's required is to supply a hosting provider.
Yes.
The goal is that we'll provide one to start with, but as soon as we can get consensus-based computation going, then it's like, well, now it's floating, because it's floating between these two power balances or power bases, so that it's you couldn't really say that it was under the control of one or the other. It's bridged in effect.
Yes. So what we got here is so there's a definition of a format.
Yep.
That format to be coherent needs these things.
Well,
we're just stating to do.
To do something with that needs these things, and whilst you could do it on your own infrastructure, it becomes incredibly easy if someone supplies it for you.
Yeah, but someone else could come along and take.
They could supply it too, right?
They could just do it in a completely different way. They could do like evil version or nice version or whatever.
Right.
But to be a version of this at all, these are the core things.
Right. So really, because this is the crack, I guess. This is the crack that sort of caused the current splintering effect, right? Once we had this format, and we're like, oh, that means a lot of different things. That means a lot of different things. So it means you need a registry. It means you need an execution environment, discovery, gateway, and all that, right? But that's really the thing that is like, okay, times have changed. This is the change. And now we're trying to figure out the implications of all that.
Yeah. So what we got there is, if we take that internal to the JSON thing as, okay, so we're the first users of that, and this is how we're doing it. Down deploy JSR. And gateway cooperation. So but there's nothing to stop anyone else doing exactly the same thing and actually meeting that format.
Correct.
Maybe they do,
Well,
forget the Gateway Corporation,
yeah,
whatever.
like we
So
want
we
it
do it.
open. We want it open, and we want other people to be supplying these services in there.
Right. So I think the way to do this is we start off with the JSON. What is um, the descriptions of each of the absolutely necessary types of things, and not even types, what are the necessary things,
Mhm.
any one of which, if you take away the JSON function platform, just won't work. And
Well,
then,
it'll always work. It's just that it won't. The hosted version won't work.
well, yeah. So what I was about to say, but if we start off with that as the kind of the core, here is the you could print it in a book saying, right, here's the JSON platform. Okay, go off and build it. Now, nobody else is going to. We've built it. We're using this, this, and this.
Hmm.
So that's a different thing from the internal thing. And then when we've used Deno with JSON and we've got all these things linked up, then we're going to use that in order to create Dreamcatcher and Stux and all those other things we've been looked at. So it's like start off with the internal at the top, and then external is our choice of meeting each of the
Yep.
requirements of the JSON format.
Yep.
And then, assuming that we've met all those, now we have a functioning platform.
Yep. Those are the
And
dependencies
we're
that
going
we
to be
injected. We
doing
injected
it.
those dependencies to make a running instance that we welcome people to come to. So
Yeah.
where does billing go here? Does it?
Billing is that no? That's not a format thing. It is.
Is that
You
part
may
of the?
you may make it free. I mean, you could build the entire thing and not bill it for a cent.
Yeah, but is payment processing necessarily intrinsic to the? Yeah, I'd say it is, right? Because it's like payments for execution. Like that's sort of actually part of the platform.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna really have to go because I'm
Okay,
gonna be
no
late.
worries, buddy.
But
I'll
yeah, I think we're on the right track here. If we start off with what is the bare minimum in order to
yeah,
have
that's
JSON,
really
and
that's
here's our
really yeah
choices
yeah
for plugging in for each of those,
that's really the
and then
separation I wanted. Is like here's the JSON function platform defined cleanly without being polluted by our hand,
yeah,
and then here's the basically the incentive model that we chose as a
yeah,
layer on top of that, and then here's the dependencies that we will inject into this pure form to present our version of this thing.
yeah, yeah. It's like by analogy, if you wanted to have a fault resistant application, we're saying, well, okay, so what you're going to need is,
Yeah,
failovers. You're
right,
going to
right,
need
right. Like
servers. You're
you
going to
should
need
be able to
network.
run an air gapped, fault tolerant version of this function platform without
Yeah,
very
yeah.
very much effort at all. Like it should
But
be very
you don't
very easy.
inside of that architecture say it has to be a Dell,
No,
or yeah,
no,
or
that's right.
Cisco.
That's right.
But we've chosen to go Dell and Cisco. Right, okay,
Yeah,
and that allows us to do
we just certified this
straight
package
variants.
as being like, well, we tested it. You can make your own one, but
Yeah,
good luck.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right, I really do need to run.
Okay, buddy.
Yeah, no, it's that's clear, and that was definitely not the rabbit hole I was going down.
Yep, that's what I thought.
So, yeah, okay, that's been helpful.
Good.
I'll see if I'll see if I can get some sleep. I can't. Oh, what time is it? It's 2:20 a.m. here. I'll see if I can get back within about 5 hours, something like that. Get
Okay,
some
buddy.
sleep first, and we can continue this.
All right.
All right, I go now. Drive.
Good luck. I'll see you soon.
See you, man.
Bye.